For Doc Rivers, though, good in the locker room, so that's not going to be an issue. I have no reason to believe that the Bucks, who, by the way, are 28th in defense, 28th in the month of January, 21st in the season overall, are going to get worse under Doc. Because a lot of defense, whatever your personnel is, and Milwaukee has it. I get there's no Drew Holiday. Milwaukee has it. They have Giannis. They have Brook Lopez, one of the best shot blockers. They have the personnel there to do it. I have a hard reason to believe that that won't get worse because a lot of defense is about effort, is about intensity, is about focus, communication. It just wasn't there with the Bucks. Here's the issue. I don't think I've ever seen a coach in my life in any sport get more runway off of one run. Just let me put that differently. Off of one championship, which he won with the Celtics in 2008. Now, folks are going to say, well, he had the loaded roster. I'm not going to take credit away from Doc. Doc was great in that run. I get that KG and at Ray Allen and Paul Pierce, Rajon Rondo, and that great crew in Boston. He did a great job, did a heck of a job. And Doc Rivers is not a bad coach by any stretch of the imagination. Milwaukee's obviously going to make the playoffs. That goes without saying. All accounts, they'll probably have a relatively high seed. I would anticipate no lower than third. My guess, they'll probably be second to Boston. There is no coach, and I'm dead serious. I'll show you a stat later that's mind-blowing. There's no coach you don't want. There's no coach that you want less than Doc Rivers late in a playoff series. We can show you his history in late game series. So Doc Rivers has blown 4 3-2 leads in his history. Okay. See, there you go. You see a second-round loss against the Orlando Magic in 2009. 2010, they lost the finals to the Lakers. 2012, lost the conference finals to the Heat. 2023, this past time in Philadelphia, lost in the second round to the Boston Celtics. Those are the 4 3-2 leads he's blown. He also happened to blow a 2-0 lead in 2016 in the first round against Portland. I'll give him a little bit of a pass just because the Clippers dealt with a ton of injuries. Portland was young coming up, Damian Lillard, so I'll give him a little bit of a pass there. What I will not even think about giving him a pass on is the blown 3-1 leads. 0-3 when he was with Orlando. Tracy McGrady's, hey, I'm about to play in the second round. And they blow a 3-1 lead to the Detroit Pistons, who go on to the conference finals that year. 2015, blown second round lead to the Houston Rockets. They blow a 3-1 lead. Houston makes this crazy comeback in game 6 with no James Harden on the floor, which, given Harden's history, it's probably a good thing. But the point is, they come back without their best player on the floor, beat them in game 6 in LA. Houston goes on to win game 7. That's a second blown 3-1 lead. And in 2020, in the bubble, this is what cost him his job in LA. The worst choke job I've ever seen in NBA history. Ever. This surpasses my Warriors in 2016. It surpasses every blown lead in the history of the league. This doesn't. Because the Clippers had the championship aspirations and expectations in 2020. They're up 3-1 on a, at the time, young Denver Nuggets team with Jokic, Murray, young team. They blow a double-digit lead in game 5, a double-digit lead in game 6, and a double-digit lead in game 7, a game in which they got blown out in. Like, unacceptable choke jobs in these playoff series. As bad as that is, or really I shouldn't say as bad as that is, tying into that is how he fares in game 7. Folks, these are his game 7 losses at home. 2005 lost in the first round to the Pacers. 2009 lost in the second round to the Magic. 2017 lost in the first round to Utah. And in 2021, they lost in the second round to an Atlanta Hawks team that was nowhere near as talented as Philadelphia. None against Trae Young in Atlanta, but when your second best player is Kevin Huerter, you should not end up in a conference finals. You just flat out shouldn't. And Huerter was the second best player in that series. That's why I'm saying that. And you see Doc's record down there in game 7s. He's 6-10. He's horrible in game 7. Let me go full screen for just a second here before I show this last one. And by the way, all graphics provided by my man, Alfred Parsar Jr. of the Grid Network. I want to give my man some credit because he creates far better graphics than I could ever dream of doing. So shout out to Alfred. Every once in a while, like when I'm doing my research for the shows and different topics, I'm like, okay, I'm compiling these stats and numbers and all this, and let's see what we got here to strengthen my argument. And every once in a while, I'd say probably a couple times a month, I'll come across a stat, maybe one time a month, that I see it and I'm like, there's no way that's true. Like, I actually, in my heart, believe there's no way that's actually a fact. Yeah, remember the lady in the plane that, you're not real or it's not real? That's what I feel when I'm looking at some of these stats. I'm like, that doesn't make sense. Doc Rivers is the head coach. If I can, let me make sure I get this right. Doc Rivers is the head coach of the 5th worst team in the NBA. You're like, I don't follow, Bryson. What does that mean? Milwaukee, they got their issues. They're not the 5th worst team in the NBA. Doc Rivers coaching teams. Make sure I get the stat right, okay? Doc Rivers, we can actually put this up right now. He's 16-33 after getting his 3rd win in a best-of-7 series. He wins 30, round that up. We can round that up. He wins 33% of the time. So when he gets his 3rd win in a best-of-7 series, first 1 to 4 wins a series, Doc Rivers is a 1/3, not even a coin flip bet, when he gets his 3rd win of the series to win the series. I saw the stat 16. I want to repeat that one more time. Doc Rivers is 16-33 after getting his 3rd win in a best-of-7 series. That doesn't even make sense. You get to the 3rd win. At least you're not going to win them all, obviously, but you get to the 3rd win, you're like, hey, one more and we're home, we advance, or we win the championship, or whatever your situation you're in. I saw that, I'm like, that can't be real. And I looked at him like, oh my God, it's actually true. So this is, Milwaukee made the right decision in moving on from Adrian Griffin. They needed to. And Doc will fix the locker room stuff, I believe. There's not a coach, Joe Mazzulla included, because at least now Mazzulla has Sam Cassell and a better roster than Milwaukee. They're among the contenders or teams that views themselves as a contender out east. No team has less faith in their head coach. None. And if Milwaukee doesn't, they're about to learn. Or Milwaukee does, they're about to learn the hard way. Knicks have a better coach with what's his name? Tom Thibodeau. Boston, Joe Mazzulla at least has Sam Cassell, so you have that component onto it. Miami's got the best coach in basketball in Eric Spoelstra. I mean, Philadelphia has Nick Nurse. I mean, I saw this. I'm like, okay, you just ended your season right there, Milwaukee. I guess it's in your season with guys liking each other, sort of. I don't know. I ain't gonna be so happy when they lose in Game 7 to Boston or Miami. I'll tell you that much. My gosh. Thanks so much for watching the show on YouTube, and be sure to go click that big red subscribe button and check out the other clips and full shows from Carving It Up Live, as well as our other incredible content creators here on the Grid Network.